The thing about being a professional nanny is that you see families at their most vulnerable. The exhaustion, the desperation, the moment when they realize they can't do it alone anymore. My name is Emma Walsh. I'm 25, I've been working with children since I was 18, and I've seen every kind of family situation imaginable. Single parents, blended families, wealthy socialites who want someone else to raise their kids, working parents who feel guilty about needing help, but I'd never seen anything quite like the Moretti family. The interview request came through the agency on a Tuesday morning. High-profile client, immediate placement needed, competitive salary, live-in position. The salary listed made my eyes widen, triple what I'd made at my last job. Either this family was desperate or there was something unusual about the situation. Both, as it turned out. The address was a mansion in the city's most exclusive neighborhood, the kind of place with gates and security cameras and guards who checked identification before letting you through. I'd worked for wealthy families before, but this was different. This was serious money combined with serious security. A housekeeper answered the door. Older woman, kind face but tired eyes. "You must be Emma. I'm Maria. Mr. Moretti is waiting in his study. Follow me, please." The house was beautiful, modern but warm, clearly designed for actual living rather than just showing off wealth. Family photos on the walls, children's artwork displayed proudly, toys neatly organized in living room corners. Someone loved this house. Someone cared about making it a home. Maria knocked on a heavy wooden door. "Mr. Moretti? Miss Walsh is here for the interview." "Send her in." The voice was deep, commanding, with a slight accent I couldn't quite place. I smoothed my skirt nervously and entered. The man behind the desk was younger than I expected, late 30s maybe, and far more intimidating. Tall, powerfully built, with dark hair and darker eyes that assessed me with unsettling intensity. He wore an expensive suit with the jacket off, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms covered in intricate tattoos. Not the typical look for a father hiring a nanny. "Miss Walsh. Sit." Not a request. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. I sat, trying to project confidence despite feeling completely out of my depth. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Moretti. I've reviewed the position details and I'm very interested." "How old are you?" 25. "Experience?" 7 years in childcare. I started as a babysitter, then worked as a full-time nanny for 3 families. Most recently with the Henderson family, twin boys ages 3 and 5. I left because they relocated to London. I pulled out my portfolio. I have references, certifications in pediatric first aid and CPR, background checks. "Why do you want to work with children?" He cut through my practice speech. "'Cause I'm good at it. 'Cause kids need someone who actually listens to them, sees them as people rather than burdens or accessories. Because I grew up in foster care and I know what it's like when adults don't give you the attention you need." The honesty came out before I could filter it. I want to be the person I needed when I was a kid. Something shifted in his expression, assessment becoming something closer to understanding. "Foster care. How long?" "Ages 6 to 18. 7 different homes. Some better than others." I met his eyes. "But that's what makes me good at this. I understand kids who are struggling, who are scared, who need stability and patience and someone who won't give up on them. My daughter is 6. Isabella. Her mother died 2 years ago. Car accident." He said it without emotion, but I saw the tension in his jaw. "Since then, she's had 5 nannies. 5. They all left within months. She's difficult," they said. "Unmanageable. Refuses to bond, acts out, makes their jobs impossible." "Or," I said carefully, "she's a 6-year-old who lost her mother and is terrified of getting attached to another caregiver who'll disappear. That's not difficult. That's traumatized." He was quiet for a long moment, studying me with those intense dark eyes. "You're either very insightful or very naive. I haven't decided which. Can it be both?" A slight smile. "Perhaps. Miss Walsh, I need to be clear about something. This position is not typical. I work unusual hours, often late into the night. I have business associates who are not always appropriate around children. You would be responsible not just for Isabella's care, but for maintaining boundaries that keep her safe and innocent despite the world I operate in. Can you handle that? What kind of business are you in, Mr. Moretti? Kind where it's better not to ask too many questions. But the kind where my daughter's safety is paramount, which is why security around this house is so tight. His expression was serious. I'm not going to lie to you. My world is complicated and occasionally dangerous. But Isabella is separate from that. She goes to a normal school, has normal friends, lives as normal a life as I can give her. Your job would be to maintain that normalcy while I handle the complications. Understand? I should have said no. Should have recognized the warning signs, the hints at criminal activity, the danger he wasn't quite admitting to. But I looked at the photos on his desk. A little girl with dark curls and sad eyes, smiling in some pictures but looking lost in others. A child who needed help. I understand. When can I meet Isabella? Now. He pressed a button on his desk. Maria, please bring Isabella to my study. While we waited, he outlined the position. Live-in, private suite in the East Wing, salary that was indeed triple my last job, full benefits, vacation time, vehicle provided for Isabella's activities. It was an incredible offer. Too good, really. Which meant there had to be complications he wasn't mentioning. The door opened, and Maria entered with a small girl who hid behind her legs. Isabella Moretti had her father's dark hair and eyes, but where his were intense and calculating, hers were wary and sad. She wore a pink dress and held a stuffed rabbit like a shield. Isabella, this is Miss Emma. She might be your new nanny. Luca's voice softened dramatically when addressing his daughter, still authoritative but gentle. Can you say hello? Don't want a new nanny. Isabella's voice was barely audible. They always leave. Not all of them leave, Piccola. Sometimes we just haven't found the right one yet. He gestured her forward. Come. Talk to Miss Emma. She wants to meet you. I slid off the chair and crouched down to Isabella's eye level, a trick I'd learned early. Never tower over a scared child. Hi, Isabella. I'm Emma. Is that your rabbit? She nodded slightly. What's his name? Mr. Floppy. Still quiet, but she was looking at me now instead of hiding. Mr. Floppy looks very important. Does he go everywhere with you? Yes. Mama gave him to me. Her grip on the rabbit tightened. Before she died. Then he's extra special. I bet he's a very good friend. I sat down cross-legged on the floor. Can I tell you a secret, Isabella? She edged closer, curious despite her wariness. What secret? I had a stuffed elephant when I was your age. His name was Peanut. I took him everywhere, too. He helped me feel safe when I was scared or lonely. Is that what Mr. Floppy does for you? Sometimes. She was fully in front of me now, rabbit clutched to her chest. Are you going to be my nanny? I'd like to be if you'll give me a chance. But I understand if you're nervous. Scary letting new people into your life, especially when other people have left. I promise if I become your nanny, I'll try really hard not to leave. Okay. Everyone says that. Then they go away. Matter of fact, heartbreaking in its resigned acceptance. You're right. People do leave sometimes. But Isabella, I'm not everyone. And I don't make promises I can't keep. So how about this? Let's try it for 1 week. Just 1 week. You get to decide if you like me, if Mr. Floppy likes me, and if you think I should stay. Fair. She considered this seriously. 1 week. 1 week. Then you tell your papa if I'm doing a good job. Okay. 1 week. She turned to her father. Papa, can Miss Emma stay for 1 week? Luca's expression was softer than I'd seen it, watching his daughter actually engage with me. Yes, Piccola. Miss Emma can stay for 1 week. And if you like her, she can stay longer. When does she start? How about tomorrow? I looked at Luca for confirmation. Tonight. He stood. Maria will show you to your quarters. I'll have your contract ready within the hour. Isabella, show Miss Emma your room and your toys. I need to make some calls. Just like that, I was hired. No second interview, no trial run beyond the 1 week Isabella had negotiated. I had the job. Maria led me to the East Wing, a beautiful suite with bedroom, bathroom, and small sitting area. Mr. Moretti is very particular about Isabella's care. But I think you'll do well. You're the first one who talked to her like a person instead of a problem. She's 6 and grieving. Of course she's not a problem. Tell that to the last 5 nannies. Maria smiled. Come. I'll show you Isabella's room, then we'll discuss schedule and routines. Isabella's room was perfect, princess canopy bed, reading nook, toys organized but clearly played with. Photos of a beautiful woman I assumed was her mother were displayed throughout. Not hidden, not removed, just present. Someone wanted Isabella to remember her mother. Mama was pretty, Isabella said, noticing me looking at the photos. Papa says I look like her. You do. You're beautiful, just like she was. I sat on the reading nook bench. Do you like to read? Yes. Papa reads to me every night. Even when he's working late, he always comes to read me stories. Pride in her voice. He does all the voices. That sounds wonderful. What's your favorite book? She showed me her collection, fairy tales, adventure stories, books about brave girls and magic and family. We talked about her favorites, about school, about her friends. Slowly, the wary child began to relax, to smile, to be a normal 6-year-old excited to talk about things she loved. Miss Emma. She looked up at me with those sad eyes. Will you really stay? For more than 1 week? If you want me to, I'll do my very best to stay. I can't promise forever. Nobody can promise forever. But I can promise I'll try, and I won't leave unless something very important makes me have to. Like what? Like if I got very sick and needed to go to the hospital for a long time. Or if your papa decided I wasn't the right nanny after all. But I won't just leave because it's hard or because I'm tired or because I found something better. Does that make sense? I think so. She hugged Mr. Floppy. I hope you stay. I like you. I like you too, Isabella. That evening, after Isabella was tucked in bed and I'd unpacked my essentials, Luca knocked on my suite door. Come in. He entered, holding the contract. Everything you discussed is included. Plus emergency contacts, medical information for Isabella, and household rules. Read it thoroughly. Sign it only if you're certain. I read through it carefully. Everything was professional, generous, clearly written. At the bottom was a clause I hadn't expected. Employee agrees to maintain confidentiality regarding all aspects of employer's business and personal life, including but not limited to business associates, home security measures, and family matters. Violation of this clause results in immediate termination and legal action. The confidentiality clause. I looked up at him. This is about your business. The kind where it's better not to ask questions. Yes, I need to know that what happens in this house stays in this house. That you won't discuss my schedule, my associates, anything you might see or hear. Isabella's safety depends on discretion. I understand. I can do that. I signed. Mr. Moretti, I have one question. Ask. Why did the other nannies really leave? Was it just Isabella being difficult, or was there more to it? He was quiet for a moment. 2 left because Isabella was challenging and they weren't equipped to handle a grieving child. 1 left because she saw something she shouldn't have, business meeting that went poorly, and couldn't handle the reality of my world. 1 left because she tried to use her position to gain access to my personal life inappropriately. And 1 left because she genuinely fell in love with someone across the country and had to move. That one Isabella understood. The others, she just felt abandoned. So she's not the problem. The situations were the problem. Exactly. Which is why I'm being clear with you up front. My world is complicated. You'll see things, hear things, meet people who are not what they seem. But your job is Isabella. Just Isabella. Can you focus on that and ignore the rest? Yes, I can do that. I handed him the signed contract. I'm good at seeing what needs to be seen and not seeing what doesn't. Good. Isabella likes you. That's rare. Don't make me regret this hire, Miss Walsh. I won't. And Mr. Moretti? You can call me Emma. Miss Walsh sounds too formal if we're living in the same house. Emma. He tested the name. Then you can call me Luca when Isabella's not around. She calls me Papa, and I prefer to keep that distinction clear. He left, and I sat in my new suite processing everything. I just agreed to work for a man who was clearly involved in something illegal. To care for a child who'd lost her mother and couldn't let herself bond with anyone new. To live in a world where confidentiality clauses came with implied threats, but when I'd seen Isabella's sad eyes and heard her resigned acceptance that everyone leaves, I'd made a choice. This child needed someone who'd stay, who'd be patient, who'd prove that not everyone abandons you. I could be that person. I would be that person, even if it meant navigating the complications of Luca Moretti's dangerous world. 3 weeks with Isabella Moretti had taught me several things. First, she was brilliant. At 6 years old, she read at a 4th grade level, solved puzzles meant for older kids, and had an emotional intelligence that suggested she'd been forced to grow up too fast. Second, her difficult behavior was entirely protective. She tested boundaries constantly, not to be defiant, but to see if I'd stay when things got hard. Push me away before I could leave her. Third, Luca Moretti was a far more devoted father than his dangerous exterior suggested. He made every school event, read bedtime stories religiously, and the way he looked at his daughter, like she was the only pure thing in his complicated world, made something in my chest ache. Miss Emma, can we go to the park today? Isabella asked over breakfast, swinging her legs under the table. 3 weeks in, and she'd started trusting me with small requests. Absolutely. After your homework is done, we'll pack a picnic and spend the afternoon there. Sound good? Yes. She turned to her father, who was reading something on his phone while drinking espresso. Papa, will you come to the park with us? Luca looked up, his expression softening immediately. I have meetings this afternoon, Piccola. But if I finish early, I'll join you. How's that? Okay. Disappointment clear in her voice, but she didn't push. She'd learned not to. After he left for his office downtown, Maria pulled me aside. He tries, to be present. But his work, it's demanding. Dangerous sometimes. He keeps Isabella separate from it as much as possible. I can see that. The house security, the confidentiality requirements, the way certain people are never allowed near Isabella. I'd noticed that some of Luca's business associates were restricted to his home office, never allowed in the family areas. What exactly does he do, Maria? I know I'm not supposed to ask, but you want to know what kind of world you've entered. She sighed. The Moretti family has been in this city for generations. They run operations. Some legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction, real estate. Others less so. Luca's the head of operations now, since his father died. He's trying to make things more legitimate, but the old ways don't die easy. He's mafia. I said it quietly. That's a very broad term. But essentially, yes. He manages family business, resolves conflicts, makes difficult decisions. It's dangerous work, which is why Isabella's security is so important. If enemies wanted to hurt Luca, she'd be the easiest target. My stomach dropped. Has anyone ever tried? Once. 2 years ago, shortly after his wife died. Someone sent threats. Luca handled it permanently. Since then, he's been obsessive about her safety. The security cameras, the guards, the background checks on anyone who works here, it's all about protecting her. And now I'm part of that protection. You are. Which is why he'll watch you very carefully. Why he'll notice everything, how you treat her, where you take her, who you talk to. It's not personal. It's survival. She patted my shoulder. But Emma, you're good for her. I see it. She smiles more, laughs more. She's starting to be a child again instead of just existing. That matters to him more than anything. The park that afternoon, I watched Isabella play on the swings, her laughter genuine and free. Other children joined her, and she played with the easy confidence of a kid who'd been given permission to just be a kid. She's happy. The voice behind me was Luca's. I hadn't heard him approach, which suggested he'd intentionally made no sound. I haven't seen her this relaxed in months. You came. I smiled up at him. She'll be thrilled. I finished my meeting early. Thought I'd surprise her. But he was watching me, not Isabella. You're good with her. Natural. The other nannies always seemed like they were performing a job. You look like you actually enjoy her company. I do enjoy her company. She's smart, funny, resilient. Being around her isn't work, Luca. It's a privilege. I turned back to watch Isabella, who'd spotted her father and was running toward us with pure joy on her face. Papa, you came. Watch me on the monkey bars. I'm watching Piccola. Show me how strong you've gotten. For the next hour, Luca was just a father at a park. No phone calls, no business discussions, just playing with his daughter. Pushing her on the swings, catching her at the bottom of the slide, genuinely present in a way that suggested these moments were rare and precious. Thank you, he said quietly as we packed up to leave, Isabella running ahead to the car with her security detail. For making her happy. For giving her something close to normal. That's my job. It's more than that. You care about her. That's not something I can pay for or require in a contract. That's just who you are. His dark eyes held mine. I'm grateful. She's easy to care about. I watched Isabella laughing with Marco, one of Luca's bodyguards who clearly adored her. She just needed someone patient enough to wait for her to trust them. Like you waited. Not a question. Emma, can I ask you something personal? You're my employer who also happens to be Mafia. I think personal boundaries are already pretty blurred. A slight smile. Fair point. When you said you grew up in foster care, was it difficult? Is that why you're so good at understanding Isabella's fear of abandonment? Yes. I never stayed anywhere long enough to feel safe. Just when I'd start to settle, I'd be moved. New family, new rules, new disappointments. I learned not to attach, not to hope, not to expect anyone to actually care. I paused. Isabella's doing what I did, protecting herself by pushing people away first. But she doesn't have to. She has you. She has a home. She just needs to believe it's permanent. And you're teaching her that. I'm trying. Whether it works depends on whether I can actually stay long enough to prove I'm different from the others. You'll stay. He said it with certainty. Because you're not like the others. You see her, Emma. Really see her. That's not something I'm willing to lose. That evening, after Isabella was in bed, I found Luca in his study reviewing documents. I knocked softly on the open door. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to discuss Isabella's schedule for next week. She has a field trip and I wasn't sure about security protocols. Come in. Sit. He pushed aside his work. Field trip where? Science museum. I'll be chaperoning, plus there will be other parents and teachers. But given what Maria told me about security concerns, I wanted to check in first. Marco will follow at a distance. He'll pose as another parent. He's done it before for school events. Isabella won't notice him, but he'll be there. He poured 2 glasses of wine without asking if I wanted any. What else did Maria tell you? That you're in the family business. That Isabella's safety is your priority. That I'm part of the security net now, whether I knew it or not when I signed on. I accepted the whine. I'm not scared if that's what you're wondering. I'm just trying to understand the full picture. The full picture is that I run operations most people pretend don't exist. I manage conflicts, negotiate deals, ensure family interests are protected. Sometimes that means violence. Often it means threat of violence. Always it means danger. He took a drink. My wife knew all of this. Understood it. Still chose me, chose this life. Then she died in an accident that may or may not have been an accident, and Isabella became the most vulnerable target imaginable. You think someone killed your wife? On purpose. I'll never know for certain. The investigation was inconclusive. But the timing was suspicious, right after I'd resolved a territorial dispute in a way that made enemies unhappy. Car accident seemed too convenient. His jaw tightened. That's why security is obsessive now. Why I vet everyone who comes near Isabella. Why I'm telling you this, so you understand that working here means more than just childcare. It means being vigilant, being aware, being willing to protect her if something happens. I can do that. I will do that. I leaned forward. Luca, I need you to understand something. Isabella isn't just a job to me anymore. In 3 weeks, she's become important, like a little sister or a daughter I never knew I wanted. If someone tried to hurt her, they'd have to go through me first. That's not dramatic, that's just fact. Something shifted in his expression, surprise maybe. Respect. You mean that? Completely. I grew up without anyone to protect me. I won't let Isabella grow up the same way. She has you, yes. But she also has me. For as long as I'm here, she has me. Emma, he stopped, seeming to reconsider his words. Thank you. For caring. For staying. For being what she needs. What we both need, I think. The words came out before I could filter them. She needs stability and love. You need to know she's safe and happy. I can provide both. What do you need? His voice was quiet, intense. Everyone needs something, Emma. What's yours? To matter. To be chosen to stay instead of being forced to leave. To build something permanent instead of just surviving temporary situations. I met his eyes. This job, this house, Isabella, it's the first place I felt like I could actually build something real. That's what I need. A home. Then consider this your home. For as long as you want it to be. The moment hung between us, significant in ways I couldn't quite name. This was more than employer and employee. More than father and nanny. This was two people recognizing something essential in each other. A crash from upstairs broke the moment. We both ran, Luca reaching Isabella's room first. She was sitting up in bed, crying, a fallen lamp beside her. Nightmare, she sobbed. Mama was leaving and I couldn't make her stay, and then there was fire and… Shh, Piccola. It's okay. Just a dream. Luca gathered her into his arms, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Mama's not leaving. She's just in heaven. And Papa's right here. You're safe. I righted the lamp, checked that she wasn't hurt, then sat on the other side of the bed. Mr. Floppy fell too. But look, he's okay. Just a little scared like you. Isabella reached for the rabbit, clutching him while still in her father's arms. Miss Emma, will you stay? Until I fall asleep? Of course. Your papa and I will both stay. Right, Luca? Right. He looked at me over Isabella's head, something grateful and vulnerable in his expression. We'll both stay, Piccola. As long as you need us. We stayed for an hour, taking turns reading stories until Isabella finally fell back asleep, safe between us. As we quietly left her room, Luca caught my hand in the hallway. Thank you. For staying. For helping. 4. He paused. For making this feel less lonely. Raising her alone, managing everything alone, it's been exhausting. Having you here, having someone who cares about her as much as I do, it helps. You're not alone anymore. Neither of you are. I squeezed his hand. Good night, Luca. Good night, Emma. I went to my suite feeling like something fundamental had shifted. I'd been hired to care for Isabella. But somehow in 3 short weeks I'd become part of something bigger. A family that was broken and healing, dangerous and loving, complicated and simple all at once, and I wanted to stay. Not because of the job or the money or even just Isabella. I wanted to stay because this felt like home. Finally, after 25 years of temporary situations and forced departures, I'd found a place where I was chosen to stay. Now I just had to prove I was worth keeping. 3 months with the Morettis, and the boundaries between professional and personal had blurred completely. Isabella had stopped testing me, stopped waiting for me to leave. She called me Miss Emma in public, but sometimes, in unguarded moments, she'd slip and call me something that sounded dangerously close to Mama. She'd catch herself, look panicked, and I'd pretend not to notice while my heart broke a little. And Luca had become something I didn't have words for. Still my employer, yes. But also someone I had dinner with most evenings after Isabella was in bed. Someone whose opinion mattered. Someone I caught watching me with an expression I couldn't quite interpret, but that made my stomach flip. Miss Emma, can we make cookies today? Isabella bounced into the kitchen where I was making breakfast. Papa said if we made cookies, he'd be home early to try them. He did he? I glanced at Luca, who was reading the newspaper with studied innocence. And what kind of cookies does Papa like? Chocolate chip. With extra chocolate. Isabella climbed onto her chair. Will you help me, Papa? When you get home? If I'm home early enough, Piccola. But I make no promises. Business is unpredictable. But his eyes met mine over her head, and I saw the frustration there. He wanted to be home, wanted to be present. But his world didn't always allow it. After he left, Isabella and I spent the morning baking. She was getting better at measuring ingredients, at following recipes, at the kind of life skills that suggested she'd had a real mother for her first few years. Someone who'd baked with her, taught her, loved her in the everyday moments. Miss Emma. She was mixing chocolate chips into the dough. Do you think Mama would like you? Question caught me off guard. I hope so. From everything you and your papa have told me, she sounds like she was wonderful. Loving, patient, creative. I think she'd be happy knowing you have someone who cares about you. Do you care about me? Really care? Not just because it's your job? I set down the spatula and crouched to her eye level. Isabella, I care about you because you're you. Smart, funny, brave kind. Being your nanny is my job, yes. But loving you? That's just what happened. You can't help loving someone as special as you. I love you too. She said it quietly, then threw her arms around my neck. I'm glad Papa found you. I'm glad you stayed. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. That evening, Luca did come home early. We heard the front door open, and Isabella shrieked with joy, running to meet him. I watched from the kitchen doorway as he scooped her up, spinning her around, his face transformed by genuine happiness. This was the Luca most people never saw. Not the dangerous businessman, not the calculating enforcer. Just a father who adored his daughter and tried desperately to give her a normal life despite the complications of his world. Papa, we made cookies. Miss Emma let me put in extra chocolate. Did she now? He set her down, moving toward the kitchen where trays of cooling cookies waited. They smell incredible. Can I try one? You have to wait until after dinner. Miss Emma said so. Miss Emma is a tyrant. But he was smiling at me. A beautiful tyrant who makes excellent rules. I felt heat creep up my neck at the compliment. Dinner's almost ready. Chicken parmesan, Isabella's favorite. Why don't you two set the table while I finish up? Dinner was loud and warm, Isabella chattering about her day, Luca listening with genuine interest. This was what normal families did: ate together, talked about mundane things, existed in comfortable domesticity. And somehow I'd become part of it after Isabella was in bed. After stories and cookies and promises that Papa would be home for breakfast, Luca found me on the back terrace, watching the city lights. Thank you for today, for making her so happy. He handed me a glass of wine, settling into the chair beside mine. For making this house feel like a home instead of just a secure location. She makes it easy. You both do. I took a sip of wine. Luca, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? This life? The danger, the complications, the constant vigilance? Do you ever wish you'd chosen something normal? He was quiet for a long moment. Every single day. I wish I'd been an architect or a teacher or literally anything that wouldn't put Isabella at risk. But this life chose me before I could choose anything else. Family business, family expectations, family legacy. You don't walk away from the Moretti name. You live up to it or you die trying. That's a lot of pressure. It's everything. But Emma, having you here, having someone who makes Isabella happy, who brings lightness to this heavy world, it helps. You remind me that not everything has to be about danger and control. Sometimes it can just be about cookies and bedtime stories and normal family moments. Is that what we are? A family? We're becoming one. Whether that was the plan or not. His hand found mine on the armrest. Emma, I need to tell you something. About why I'm telling you all this, why I'm letting you so far into our lives. What? 'Cause I trust you. Completely. And I don't trust anyone completely except family. But you've proven yourself, with Isabella, with your discretion, with how you've handled everything about this complicated situation. You're not just the nanny anymore. You're essential. To her, yes. But also to me. My heart was pounding. Luca, I'm not saying this to make you uncomfortable. I'm saying it because you deserve to know where you stand. You're not an employee who can be easily replaced. You're someone we've built our lives around. Someone we'd be devastated to lose. His dark eyes held mine. Someone I personally would be devastated to lose. I'm not going anywhere. I told you that 3 months ago. I know. But I needed to make sure you understood. This isn't just about Isabella anymore. This is about us. All 3 of us. We're a unit now, a family, whether it's conventional or not. And that means, he trailed off, seeming to struggle with words. I'd never seen Luca Moretti struggle for words before. It means what? I prompted gently. It means I care about you. As more than just my daughter's nanny. As more than just an employee or friend. Care about you, Emma. And I don't know what to do with that. The confession hung between us, massive and terrifying and impossibly sweet. I care about you too, I admitted. I've been trying not to. Telling myself it's just proximity, just the situation, just the fact that you're a good father and that makes anyone attractive. But Luca, it's not just that. It's you. How you are with Isabella. How you try so hard to balance danger with normalcy. How you look at me like I matter. I care about you. So much it scares me. It scares me too. He moved closer. Because caring about people in my world makes them targets. Makes them vulnerable. My wife died, Emma. Whether it was an accident or not, she died because she was connected to me. I won't put you in that kind of danger. You already have. The moment I moved into this house, the moment I became important to Isabella, I became a potential target. That ship has sailed, Luca. So the question isn't whether I'm in danger. It's whether we're brave enough to admit what's happening between us. And what is happening between us? I don't know. But I want to find out. If you do. He stood, pulling me to my feet, his hands on my waist. Emma, if we do this, if we explore this, there's no going back. You'll be more than Isabella's nanny. You'll be mine. Part of my world completely, with all the danger and complication that brings. Are you ready for that? I'm already in your world. Already part of Isabella's life. Already living in this house, already caring about you both more than I should. So yes, Luca. I'm ready. The question is, are you? His answer was a kiss, deep, claiming, full of 3 months of restraint finally released. I melted into him, into the warmth and strength and surprising gentleness of a man who the world saw as dangerous but who kissed me like I was precious. I've wanted to do that for weeks, he murmured against my lips. Watching you with Isabella, seeing how you fit into our lives, how you make everything better just by existing, it's been torture not touching you, not telling you how I feel. Then don't hold back anymore. Tell me. Touch me. Let this be real instead of something we're both pretending isn't happening. Emma Walsh, you're dangerous. You make me want things I thought I'd given up on. Normal things. Family things. Love things. He pressed his forehead to mine. I'm falling for you. Have been since you sat on my study floor and talked to my daughter like she was a person worth knowing. I tried to fight it, tried to maintain boundaries, tried to remember you're an employee. But I can't anymore. I can't pretend this is just professional when everything about how I feel about you is deeply, completely personal. Good. Because I can't pretend either. I love Isabella. But Luca, I'm falling for you too. And it's terrifying and wonderful and absolutely not what I expected when I took this job. What did you expect? A job. Paycheck. Maybe helping a child through grief. I didn't expect a family. I didn't expect you. I didn't expect to find home in the most unlikely place imaginable. Home. He tested the word. Is that what this is to you? Yes. For the first time in my life, yes. This house, Isabella, it's home. Real, permanent home. And I'm choosing to stay. Then stay. Not just as the nanny. Stay as whatever we're becoming. As family. As mine. We kissed again, softer this time, less desperate and more promising. This wasn't just attraction or convenience or proximity. This was real. Complicated, unconventional, potentially dangerous, but real. Papa? Miss Emma. Isabella's small voice came from the doorway. I had another nightmare. Can you both come? We pulled apart, and I saw in Luca's eyes the same thought I was having. How do we explain this? How do we tell her things are changing? But Isabella just looked at us with her wise, too-old eyes and smiled slightly. You were kissing. Does that mean Miss Emma is staying forever now? Like a real mama. Isabella, Luca started, clearly unsure how to navigate this. Yes, I said firmly. If you want me to, that would make you happy. I'm staying. Forever. Good. She held out both hands, one to me, one to her father. Can we all sleep in Papa's big bed tonight? Like a real family? I'm tired of nightmares alone. Luca looked at me, questioning. I nodded. This was what family did. Adjusted, accommodated, put the child's needs first. Yes, Piccola. We can all sleep in Papa's bed. Like a real family. We settled in Luca's king-sized bed, Isabella between us, Mr. Floppy clutched to her chest. She fell asleep within minutes, safe between two people who loved her. Is this crazy? I whispered over her sleeping form. Moving this fast? Becoming this entangled? Probably. But Emma, my life doesn't allow for slow and careful. It's fast and dangerous, and you seize happiness when you find it because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. His hand found mine across Isabella's small body. I'm seizing this. Seizing you. Seizing the possibility of being more than just a single father surviving. Is that okay? That's more than okay. That's everything. We fell asleep like that. Unconventional family, dangerous life, impossible situation. But together. Choosing each other. Building something real from the most unlikely beginning, and for the first time in my entire life, I felt completely, perfectly home. 6 months with the Morettis, and the lines between nanny, girlfriend, and something more had dissolved completely. I still officially worked as Isabella's nanny, the salary deposited monthly, the benefits maintained. But in reality, I'd become something else entirely. Luca's partner. Isabella's, well, neither of us used the word mother, but that's what the role was becoming. Miss Emma, can you braid my hair like Mama used to? Isabella asked one morning, holding out hair ties. 6 months ago, mentioning her mother would have been followed by tears. Now it was just a fact, a memory she was learning to carry without breaking. I can try. How did she do it? Like this. She showed me a photo, her mother with elaborate braids woven with ribbons. For special occasions. Papa says today is special because we're going to his work. I glanced at Luca, who was making espresso with practiced efficiency. We're going to your work? Family day at the main office. The legitimate one, not. He stopped, glanced at Isabella, chose his words carefully. The main office? I want my people to meet you both officially. As my family. Your family. I tested the words. We've been dancing around definitions for 3 months now. Not quite engaged, not quite just dating. Something in between that worked for us but confused everyone else. Yes, my family. Is that okay? That's more than okay. The main office was a high-rise downtown Moretti Enterprises, the legitimate face of the family business. Inside was corporate elegance. Marble floors, expensive art, employees in sharp suits moving with purpose. Mr. Moretti. The receptionist's eyes widened. We weren't expecting you today. I know. Family visit. Is Marco upstairs? Yes, sir. Conference room 3. We took the elevator to the top floor, Isabella holding both our hands, chattering about how tall the building was. Employees we passed did double takes, clearly not used to seeing Luca Moretti with a child and a woman who was obviously more than just an assistant. Marco was waiting in the conference room. I'd met him before, one of Luca's most trusted men, built like a tank but surprisingly gentle with Isabella. Boss. Miss Emma. And the princess herself. He crouched down. Bella, your papa said you wanted to see where he works? Yes. Is it exciting? Does he have a big desk? Can I sit in his chair? All of that and more. Come on, I'll give you the tour. He glanced at Luca. We need to talk. About the Russo situation. But it can wait. Take her for 20 minutes. Show her the executive floor, let her play CEO. Emma and I will handle business, then we'll all have lunch together. Luca squeezed Isabella's hand. Be good for Marco, Piccola. Always am. She skipped off with Marco, leaving us alone in the conference room. The Russo situation? I asked. Luca sighed, pulling out his phone to show me a message. Victor Russo's son was arrested last week. Drug trafficking. He's looking for someone to blame, and apparently I'm a convenient target. Claims I set him up to take over his territory. Did you? No. His son is an idiot who got caught because he's sloppy. But Victor doesn't want to admit his heir is incompetent, so he's blaming external factors. Me. He pocketed the phone. It's creating tension. Threats. Nothing concrete yet, but Emma, this is exactly what I worried about. My world bleeding into our world. What kind of threats? Kind that target families. That use loved ones as leverage. His jaw tightened. Victor knows about you. About how important you are to Isabella and me. That makes you a potential target. I need you to understand this could get dangerous. More dangerous than the everyday vigilance we maintain. So what do? Increase security. No more park trips without at least 2 guards. No routine schedules. Marco moves into the guest house on the property. And Emma, he gripped my shoulders. If anything happens, if anyone approaches you or Isabella in a way that feels wrong, you call me immediately. Understand? I understand. But Luca, I'm not scared. I knew what I was getting into when I chose this life. Knowing and experiencing are different things. Emma, I can't, his voice broke slightly. I can't lose you. Either of you. You're everything. If something happened because of my world, because of my choices, nothing will happen. We'll be careful, we'll follow protocols, we'll stay safe. Together. I pulled him close. We're a family, Luca. That means we protect each other. All of us. Before he could respond, the door burst open. A man I didn't recognize, younger, dressed too casually for the corporate environment, with wild eyes and a gun barely concealed under his jacket. Luca Moretti. His voice was shaking. We need to talk. About my father. About what you did. Russo. Luca moved in front of me immediately, protective instinct overriding everything else. This isn't the place. Not with civilians present. Everywhere is the place when you destroy my family. The young Russo, Victor's son, I realized, pulled out the gun fully now. You set me up. Planted evidence. Got me arrested so you could take our territory. Admit it. I did nothing. You were sloppy. Got caught because you're careless and think your last name protects you from consequences. Luca's voice was calm, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. Put the gun away, Russo. You don't want to do this. Don't I? You took everything from me. My freedom, my reputation, my father's respect. Why shouldn't I take something from you? His eyes landed on me and I saw the calculation. Who's this? The nanny I've been hearing about? The one who takes care of your daughter. Leave her out of this. Your issue is with me, not her. Everything is with you, including the people you care about. He swung the gun toward me. Everything happened so fast. Luca moved, tackling Russo before he could fire. The gun went off, loud, deafening in the enclosed space, but the bullet hit the ceiling. They struggled, Luca fighting to control the weapon while Russo fought with desperate strength. I grabbed a chair, swinging it hard at Russo's head. The impact stunned him enough for Luca to wrench the gun away, pressing him face down against the table. Marco! Luca's shout brought security running. Within seconds, Marco had Russo in restraints and other guards were clearing the floor. Isabella? Luca asked immediately. Safe. Heard the shot, locked her in your office. She's scared but unharmed. Marco dragged Russo toward the door. I'll handle this. Get Emma out of here. Go home. I'll send double security. Luca pulled me close, checking me over frantically. Are you hurt? Did he? I'm fine. Shaken but fine. I was trembling now, adrenaline making my hands shake. Luca, Isabella. We need to get to Isabella. We ran to his office where Isabella was huddled under his desk, crying. The moment she saw us, she scrambled out, throwing herself at her father. I heard the bang. I thought, shoo, piccola. Everyone's safe. Just a bad man who did a bad thing. But Papa handled it and Miss Emma is fine and you're fine. We're all fine. He held her tight, then pulled me into the embrace. We're all safe. That's what matters. But in the car home, after Isabella finally calmed down, Luca's expression was dark. This is exactly what I feared. Russo bringing violence into civilian spaces. You could have been killed, Emma. Isabella could have been traumatized. This is why I tried to keep you separate from my world. But I'm not separate. I'm part of your life, which means I'm part of everything, the good and the dangerous. We knew this, Luca. We chose this. I chose this. You just fell into it by accepting a nanny position. No, I chose this when I kissed you back. When I said I'd stay. When I became part of this family. I knew what I was signing up for. I turned to face him fully. Luca, I'm not leaving because it got scary. I'm staying because you're worth it. Isabella's worth it. This family is worth it. Even after having a gun pointed at you? Even then. 'Cause I trust you to protect us. And because I'm not fragile. I'm a woman who survived foster care, who learned to fight for herself, who's tougher than I look. I can handle your world. I can handle the danger. As long as we're together. He pulled the car over, kissing me hard and desperate. I love you. I'm in love with you. I was trying to wait, trying to do this properly, trying to find the right moment. But Emma Walsh, I'm completely, impossibly in love with you. And the thought of losing you today, you didn't lose me. I'm right here. And Luca, I love you too. I'm in love with you and Isabella and this complicated, dangerous, perfect life we're building. Kissed him back. So, stop trying to push me away to protect me. I don't need protecting from this life. I need to be part of it. Part of you. Papa? Miss Emma. Isabella's small voice came from the back seat. Are you going to get married? Because that would make her my real mama, right? We both turned to look at her, this wise, brave 6-year-old who'd been through so much and still had the courage to hope for more. Would you want that, Piccola? Luca asked gently. For Miss Emma to be your mama? Really, officially? Yes. More than anything. She already is my mama. Marriage just makes it real for everyone else. She said it with such simple certainty. I want us to be a real family. Forever. Then that's what we'll be. Luca looked at me. Emma, I don't have a ring, I don't have a planned speech, I don't have anything except the absolute certainty that I want you in our lives permanently. Will you marry me? Will you officially become Isabella's mother and my wife? Will you choose this crazy, dangerous, loving family forever? Yes. I was crying and laughing simultaneously. Yes, absolutely, completely yes. I choose you both. I choose this family. Forever. Isabella cheered, and Luca kissed me again, softer this time, promising everything. We went home as an engaged family. Not perfect, perfection didn't exist in Luca's world. But real, committed, choosing each other despite the complications. That evening, after Isabella was in bed wearing her mother's engagement ring as a temporary mama ring, until we could get her something appropriate, Luca and I sat on the terrace. Are you sure? He asked quietly. About all of this? Today proved how dangerous my world can be. Today proved that we can handle danger together. That I can protect this family just like you can. That I'm strong enough for this life. I leaned against him. Luca, I spent 25 years looking for home. For family. For a place where I was chosen to stay instead of forced to leave. I found that here. With you and Isabella. I'm not walking away from that because it got scary. I'm holding on tighter. Then hold on tight. Because I'm never letting go. He pulled out a small box. I lied. I did have a ring. Was waiting for the right moment. Seems like now is the moment. The ring was perfect, elegant, understated, exactly what I would have chosen. He slid it onto my finger, and it fit like it was meant to be there. Perfect fit, I whispered. Perfect everything. You, me, Isabella. Our impossible family. Kissed my ring finger. Thank you. For staying. For choosing us. For being brave enough to love us despite everything. Thank you for being worth loving. For giving me a family. For making me believe in forever. We sat together as the city lights came on, engaged and in love and building something real from the most unlikely beginning, and for the first time in my entire life, I knew with absolute certainty, this was forever, this was home, this was family, this was everything. Planning a wedding when your fiancé is mafia proved to be more complicated than expected. Emma, we need to discuss the guest list. Luca slid a document across the breakfast table. 3 pages of names I didn't recognize. These are family associates who need to be invited. For political reasons. Political reasons. I scanned the list. Luca, some of these names I've seen in the news. For criminal charges. Most of my world operates in gray areas. You knew that when you said yes. But his tone was gentle. I know it's not ideal. But these alliances matter. These relationships keep us safe, keep Isabella safe. We can't exclude people without causing offense that could turn dangerous. So our wedding becomes a business negotiation. Our wedding is a celebration of us. But yes, it also serves as a public declaration that you're under Moretti protection. That Isabella has a mother again. That our family is unified and strong. He took my hand. I'm sorry it can't just be a simple ceremony with people we love. But Emma, in my world, everything has multiple meanings. I know. I sighed. I'm used to simple. Foster care, small apartments, jobs that barely paid rent. This world of yours, mansions and security and guest lists that require political consideration, it's still overwhelming sometimes. Do you regret saying yes? Never. I just need reminders sometimes that I belong here. That I'm not just playing dress up in someone else's life. I squeezed his hand. Tell me I belong here, Luca. You belong here. You're not playing dress up. You're building a life with us, a real, permanent life. You're going to be my wife, Isabella's mother, part of this family completely. He pulled me onto his lap. And Emma, you make this world better. You bring softness to the hard edges, love to the darkness. Don't ever doubt that you belong. Papa. Miss Emma. Isabella ran in, clutching her tablet. I found the perfect dress. For the wedding. Look. She showed us a photo of a flower girl dress, white with pink ribbons, absolutely perfect for her. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Should we order it? I asked. Yes. And Miss Emma, after you marry Papa, can I call you Mama? Instead of Miss Emma? My friend Sophie says that's what you do when your papa marries someone new. They become your mama. Question caught me off guard. We'd been dancing around this for months, the role I was filling but the title we hadn't addressed. Would you want that? To call me Mama? I asked gently. Yes, 'cause that's what you are. You take care of me, read to me, help with homework, make me feel safe. That's what mamas do. She looked between us with those wise 6-year-old eyes. My first mama is in heaven, but you're my earth mama. Is that okay? I was crying before I could stop myself. That's more than okay. That's everything. Yes, Isabella. After the wedding, you can call me Mama. I would be honored. Good. She hugged me tight. I love you, Mama Emma. I love you too, sweetheart. So much. Luca was watching us with an expression I'd learned to recognize. Overwhelming love mixed with relief that Isabella was healing, that we were becoming a real family. That evening, after Isabella was in bed, Luca found me in what had become my office, a room he'd converted for me to manage household things and continue some freelance work I'd picked up. You handled that beautifully today. With Isabella and the mama question. He settled into the chair across from my desk. She's been wanting to ask for weeks. I could tell. But she was scared you'd say no. Why would I say no? She is my daughter in every way that matters. Biology is just details. Not everyone sees it that way. But you do. That's one of the 1,000 reasons I love you. He paused. Emma, I need to tell you something. About the Russo situation. My stomach tightened. What about it? Victor Russo contacted me. Wants to negotiate peace. His son is in prison, facing serious time. Victor's getting old, doesn't want to continue the conflict. He's proposing a truce, We leave his remaining operations alone, he acknowledges our territory, and we both move forward. That's good, right? No more threats? Should be good. But in my world, truces are complicated. They require meetings, negotiations, shows of good faith. Which means he hesitated, which means I need to attend to sit down. Next week. In neutral territory. How dangerous is a sit down? Usually not very. Both sides want peace, so violence defeats the purpose. But Emma, these things can go wrong. Someone gets emotional, old grievances resurface, guns come out. He moved to crouch in front of me. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know when I'm walking into potential danger. And because I need you to know if something happens to me, everything is set up. The house is in your name. Isabella's custody is yours. Money, businesses, everything. You and Isabella will be protected and provided for. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're too careful, too smart. Emma, I'm realistic. This life has risks. I've made enemies. Eventually, those risks catch up with everyone. I'm not planning to die, but I'm planning for the possibility. Because you and Isabella are my priority. Your safety, your future. That matters more than anything. Don't talk like that. Don't talk like you're saying goodbye. I'm not. I'm just being honest about my world. About the risks I take to keep us safe and stable. Kissed my hands. But Emma, I promise I'll do everything possible to come home. To marry you. To be Isabella's father for as long as she needs me. I promise I'll fight to stay alive. Then fight hard. 'Cause we need you. I need you. This family needs you. I pulled him close. No heroics, no unnecessary risks. You come home, Luca. You come home to us. I will. I promise. The week leading up to the sit-down was tense. Luca was distracted, working longer hours, making arrangements I didn't fully understand. Marco and the other security stayed close, and I noticed additional guards around the property. Mama Emma, why is Papa worried? Isabella asked one evening while we were making dinner. He's just dealing with work things, sweetheart. Adult business. Nothing for you to worry about. But you're worried. I can tell. Your smile doesn't reach your eyes when you're worried. She was too perceptive. Is Papa in danger? I crouched down to her level, deciding honesty was better than placating lies. Papa's job is sometimes dangerous. But he's very good at his job and he has people who protect him. He's going to be fine. We just have to trust him. Okay. But Mama Emma? Papa doesn't come home, will you still stay? Will you still be my mama? Always. No matter what happens, I'm your mama. Forever. I'm not going anywhere. I held her tight. Nothing will make me leave you. Nothing. Understand? I understand. I love you, Mama Emma. I love you too, baby. So much. The night before the sit-down, Luca came to bed late. I was still awake, pretending to read but really just worrying. Can't sleep? He slid under the covers, pulling me close. Too busy worrying about you walking into potential danger tomorrow. I'll be fine. Marco's coming, plus 6 other men. We'll be armed, alert, prepared for anything. This is just a formality. Establish the truce officially, shake hands, walk away. And if it's not just a formality, then I handle it. Like I've handled everything else. Emma, I've survived in this world for 20 years. I know how to read situations, how to spot danger before it becomes lethal. Trust me. I do trust you. My voice broke. I just found my family. I can't lose you now. Isabella can't lose another parent. We need you. And I need you both. Which is why I'll be careful. Why I'll come home. Kissed me softly. Emma Walsh, soon to be Emma Moretti, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. You and Isabella. This family we're building. I'm not throwing that away for pride or territory or anything else. I'm coming home to you. Promise me. Really promise me. I promise. On everything I am, everything I have, everything I love, I promise I'm coming home. We made love that night with desperate intensity, like we were both trying to memorize each other just in case. I fell asleep in his arms, praying to any deity who'd listen that he'd keep his promise. The next morning, I watched him dress in his expensive suit, check his gun, kiss Isabella goodbye like it was any other day. Be good for Mama Emma, Piccola. I'll be home for dinner. Promise. Isabella held up her pinky. Promise. He locked pinkies with her, then kissed her forehead. I love you, Isabella. More than anything in this world. I love you too, Papa. He kissed me at the door, long, deep, full of promise and fear and hope. I love you, Emma. Everything's going to be fine. Better be. Because if you don't come home, I'll follow you into whatever afterlife exists and kill you myself for breaking your promise. He laughed despite the tension. Noted. See you at dinner. Then he was gone, and all I could do was wait. The hours dragged. I kept Isabella busy with activities, baking, reading, playing games, anything to distract both of us from checking the clock every 5 minutes. Mama Emma, you keep looking at your phone. Is Papa okay? I'm sure he's fine. Just checking for updates. But I was terrified. Every minute that passed without word felt like an eternity. To 4 o'clock, my phone rang. Marco's name on the screen. I answered with shaking hands. Marco? Boss is fine. Truce is established. We're coming home now. Everything went smoothly, no complications, no issues. Russo was genuine about peace. We'll be there in 20 minutes. Relief flooded through me so intensely I had to sit down. Thank you. Thank you for keeping him safe. Always. That's the job. See you soon, I told Isabella, and we both ran to the front door the moment we heard the car. Luca stepped out, looking tired but unharmed, and we both threw ourselves at him. Papa, you came home. Mama Emma was so worried. I'm home. I'm fine. Truce is established. Russo's son will serve his time quietly, and we can move forward without that threat hanging over us. He held us both. I kept my promise. I came home to my family. That night, after Isabella was finally asleep, after excessive celebration and stories and reassurances that Papa was really okay, Luca and I lay in bed together. Thank you, I whispered. For keeping your promise. For coming home. Thank you for giving me a reason to. For being someone worth coming home to. For building this family that's become my entire world. He kissed my forehead. Emma, let's move up the wedding. I don't want to wait anymore. I want you to be my wife officially, legally. I want Isabella to call you Mama with no qualifications. I want us to be a family in every possible way. Soon. As soon as we can arrange it. Yes, let's do it. Let's get married and make this official and stop waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment. Any moment with you is the right moment. Next month. Small ceremony, just family and necessary guests. Nothing fancy. Just us making promises, becoming permanent. Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. We fell asleep planning our wedding, our future, our forever, and I knew with absolute certainty that this was exactly where I was meant to be home. Family. Love, everything I'd ever wanted. Found in the most unlikely place with the most unexpected family, and I wouldn't change a single thing. The wedding was perfect in its imperfection. Small, intimate, exactly what we needed rather than what tradition demanded. We'd chosen a private garden venue, just 40 guests. Luca's family, necessary business associates, a few close friends. Maria, who'd become like a grandmother to Isabella. Marco and the security team who'd become extended family. And Jessica, the one friend from my old life who'd stuck around when everything got complicated. "You look beautiful," Jessica said as she helped me with my dress. Simple white gown, elegant but not ostentatious. "I still can't believe you're marrying a mob boss. When you took that nanny job, did you ever imagine? Never. Not in a million years." I looked at my reflection, Emma Walsh, foster kid who never had a permanent home, about to become Emma Moretti, wife and mother and part of something permanent. Jessica, am I crazy? Marrying into this world? The danger, the complications. You're crazy in love. That's different. She squeezed my shoulder. "Emma, I've known you for 5 years. I've never seen you this happy, this settled, this home. Luca and Isabella, they're your family. That's not crazy. That's rare and precious and worth fighting for. Thank you. For being here. For not running away when things got weird. Are you kidding? This is the most interesting friendship I've ever had. Where else would I get to attend a mob wedding?" She grinned. "Now, come on. Your daughter is waiting to walk you down the aisle, and your future husband looks like he's about to pace a hole in the garden path." Isabella was waiting outside in her perfect flower girl dress, holding a basket of rose petals. But when she saw me, she dropped the basket and ran. "Mama Emma, you look like a princess. Papa's going to cry when he sees you." "You think so?" I crouched down, careful of my dress. "I know so. He cried this morning when I showed him my dress. Said he couldn't believe how lucky he was to have us." She took my hand. "Ready to become a real Moretti?" "More than ready. Let's go become a family." We walked together, no father to give me away because I'd never had one, just my daughter leading me toward my future. The guests stood, but I only saw Luca. He stood under a flower-covered arbor, wearing a perfect black suit, and Isabella was right. When he saw me, his eyes filled with tears. This man, who the world saw as dangerous and ruthless, was crying because he was happy. "Mama Emma, go get married." "I'll throw flowers," Isabella whispered, giving me a gentle push. I walked the last few steps alone, and Luca met me halfway, taking both my hands. "You're stunning," he murmured. "Emma, if you make me cry before the ceremony even starts, I'll never forgive you." "Too late. You're already crying." He was right. The ceremony was short, traditional vows with personal additions. Luca promised to protect me, cherish me, and never take for granted the gift of being chosen by someone who'd spent her whole life unchosen. I promised to stay, to build this family with him, to love both him and Isabella with everything I had. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Luca kissed me like we were the only two people in the world, deep, claiming, promising forever. The guests applauded, but I barely heard them. There was only this moment, this man, this family we'd built from nothing. "Mama, Papa, can I hug you now?" Isabella's voice broke through, and we pulled apart to find her bouncing with excitement. "Come here, Piccola." Luca scooped her up and we stood there, husband, wife, daughter, as the photographer captured the moment. "We're a real family now," Isabella announced to everyone. "With a mama and papa and everything." The reception was in the same garden, tables arranged under string lights, food catered by one of the Moretti family restaurants. It was beautiful, elegant, and surprisingly normal despite the guest list that included several people with criminal records. "To the bride and groom," Marco stood to give a toast. "I've known Luca for 15 years. Watched him navigate the hardest parts of this life, lose his first wife, struggle to raise Isabella alone. I never thought he'd find someone brave enough to love him despite the complications. But Emma," he raised his glass to me, "you're not just brave. You're perfect for them. You brought light back to this family. Thank you for that. And thank you for not running away when things got weird." Everyone laughed, and I stood to respond. "Thank you, Marco. And thank you all for being here. I know this wedding represents more than just two people making promises. It's about family, alliances, respect. But for me, it's simple. It's about choosing to stay. I spent my whole life in temporary situations, never knowing if I'd be wanted tomorrow. Luca and Isabella gave me permanent, gave me home, gave me family. That's worth everything. So thank you for welcoming me, protecting us, and being part of this impossible, beautiful life we're building. More applause and then dancing. Luca and I had our first dance to a song Isabella had chosen, something about love and family and forever. He held me close, and for those few minutes, the dangerous world he operated in didn't exist. There was just us. Mrs. Moretti, he murmured. How does it feel? Perfect. Terrifying. Permanent. Everything I've ever wanted. I looked up at him. Thank you for choosing me. For seeing past the temporary nanny to someone worth keeping. Thank you for staying. For loving Isabella. For loving me despite knowing exactly what you were signing up for. He spun me gently. Emma, I need you to know something. Everything I do, the business, the violence, the complicated negotiations, it's all to keep you and Isabella safe. To maintain the world that allows us to have this life. I'm not a good man, but I'm trying to be a good husband and father. Is that enough? It's more than enough. You're more than enough. Kissed him softly. Luca, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be you. Dangerous and protective and complicated and loving. That's the man I married. That's the man I choose. Every day I choose that man. Then every day I'll try to be worthy of being chosen. We danced until Isabella cut in, demanding to dance with both of us. The three of us swayed together, and I saw the photographer capturing it. Our first dance as a legal family later, after cake and more dancing and farewells to guests, we went home. Not to the mansion. Luca had arranged for us to spend the weekend at a private estate in the mountains. Just the three of us, no security visible, though Marco assured me they'd be nearby. No business interruptions. Isabella fell asleep in the car, exhausted from excitement. Luca carried her to her room. Yes, the estate had a room prepared for her because of course it did, and we tucked her in together. She's happy, I whispered, watching her sleep with Mr. Floppy clutched to her chest. She's whole. For the first time since her mother died, she's whole. Because of you. Luca took my hand, leading me to our room. Emma, I have something for you. Wedding gift. He handed me an envelope. Inside were documents, adoption papers. I'm adopting Isabella. My voice broke. If you want to. Legally making you her mother, not just through marriage but through adoption. So even if something happens to me, even if the worst-case scenario plays out, she's yours. Permanently, legally, irrevocably yours. He watched my face carefully. Is that okay? I should have asked first, but I wanted it to be a surprise. It's perfect. Yes. Absolutely yes. I want to adopt her. I want to be her mother in every possible way. I was crying again. Luca, this is everything. You're everything. To both of us. This just makes it official. He pulled me close. Emma Moretti, you walked into our lives 9 months ago as a nanny. You became essential within weeks. You became family within months. And now you're my wife and Isabella's mother. I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I'm grateful every single day. You gave me a home, a family, a reason to stop running and start staying. That's what you did. Kissed him. Now, come on. We have a wedding night to properly celebrate. We made love that night as husband and wife, as partners, as two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way and built something real. After lying in his arms, I thought about the journey that brought me here 9 months ago. I'd been a nanny looking for work. Just another job, another temporary situation. I never expected to find home. Never expected to fall in love with both a broken little girl and her dangerous father. Never expected to build a family from nothing. What are you thinking? Luca asked, playing with my hair. About how I got here. About the job interview where you were so intimidating. About Isabella refusing to trust me. About the first time you kissed me. About every moment that led to this. I turned to look at him. I wouldn't change anything. Even the scary parts. Even the dangerous parts. 'Cause they brought me here. To you. To Isabella. To us. Neither would I. Best nanny hire I ever made. He smiled. Though you're significantly overqualified for the position now. I prefer to think I expanded my job description. Nanny, wife, mother, partner in your crazy dangerous life. I'm very versatile. You're very everything. And I'm very in love with you. Good. Because I'm very in love with you too. 2 years later, epilogue, Mama. Mama. Come quick. Isabella, now 8 years old and significantly more confident, ran into the kitchen where I was making breakfast. What is it, sweetheart? Papa's on TV. And he's wearing a suit. It's about the community center. I followed her to the living room where Luca was indeed on the news, being interviewed about the Moretti Family Foundation's latest project, expanding the community center he'd been supporting for years. Mr. Moretti, your family's charitable work has been transformative for this neighborhood. What inspired this level of commitment? The reporter asked. My wife. She reminds me every day that we have a responsibility to help people who need it, to give back to communities that raised us. The foundation is as much her vision as mine. Your wife, Emma Moretti, was a professional nanny before your marriage, correct? She was. She came to care for my daughter and ended up transforming our entire lives. She saw potential in both of us, in our family and in what we could do for others. Everything good in my life comes back to her. Isabella beamed. Papa said nice things about you on TV. He did. I was smiling, watching my husband handle the interview with surprising charm. He's good at that. The doorbell rang and I opened it to find a delivery, flowers from Luca with a note. Thank you for making me want to be better. For showing me that dangerous men can still build beautiful things. For being my everything. Elle, more flowers? Papa sends you flowers like every week. Isabella laughed. He's romantic. What can I say? He's in love. That's what Nana says. Says he looks at you like you're magic. Maybe I am magic. I turned a scary mob boss into a charming husband. You're definitely magic, Mama. The best kind. That evening, after Isabella was in bed and Luca was home from his interviews and meetings, we sat on our terrace as had become routine. You did good today, I told him. The interview, the foundation announcement. You're becoming legitimate, slowly but surely. We're becoming legitimate. This is your influence, Emma. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have cared about community centers or charitable foundations. I'd have just focused on territory and profit. You changed that. Changed me. He pulled me close. Thank you for that. For making me want to be more than just a criminal. You were always more than that. I just helped you see it. I leaned against him. We're good, aren't we? You, me, Isabella, this life we built? We're better than good. We're perfect. Complicated and dangerous and occasionally insane, but perfect. Kissed my temple. Emma Moretti, thank you for being brave enough to stay when any reasonable person would have run. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for being home. Thank you for giving me a home to come to. For choosing me. For building this impossible, beautiful family. I looked up at the stars. I was hired to care for your daughter. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with both of you. And that's the best job I've ever had. You're hired forever. No resignation allowed. Good. 'Cause I'm not going anywhere. This is home. Your home. This family is everything. We sat together in comfortable silence, husband and wife, partners in every sense. The nanny and the mob boss who became something more. The broken little girl who found a mother. The family built from the most unlikely beginning, and I knew with absolute certainty that this was forever. This was exactly where I was meant to be home.